Darn it, the soundboard's not going off again today. Josh, you're going to have to hold the timer.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We're a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Before we get into our intriguing content today,
Welcome back.
Jim, we didn't lock the door. Jim Norton is in the house. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Ron. Good to be back.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance, and we already did that, so I'm just going to celebrate today. National Roast Duckling Day. I don't know. I'm sorry, Roast Suckling Pig Day. You gotta. It's the end of the month, end of the year. The celebrations are about to begin, and I can't even read the slides that Josh puts out. So he makes it nice and easy for me to read them, and then I have trouble even seeing that. So. Can we just make it easy, Josh? Can we just go and get rid of the pig and just go straight to bacon? We'll just have bacon. I mean, you can never go wrong with bacon. So let's just have today's Suckling Pig Day. We're going to have bacon instead just because it's easy and we can do it. And, we're celebrating. I don't know. Do we want to celebrate or we'll look at the market in just a minute here, and I'm not sure we want to celebrate the market. Is anybody a twin? Some people say that I appear to be twins, but that would just be me, myself. Today's National Twin Day. Okay, let's move along and see what the markets are doing. Let's see here, being that my screen is slow, as am I. Let's take a look. The Dow Jones. Why is my screen coming up with weird stuff? Maybe it's because I put it on a little late in the day. Could that be the reason why it's coming up with weird stuff on the screen? I got now I got all these fancy things coming across here that I don't normally have. But let's take a look and see if I can possibly just get the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 0.33. It's up. Oh, wait a second. Everywhere I look, it's got a different number. So the Dow Jones up 145 points. as we speak. That's a good number. The S&P 500 is up. The NASDAQ is up. Every number we seem to look at seems to be doing well. But none of it really matters right now. There we go. That's the screen I want. The Dow is up 137. The S&P is up 12. NASDAQ's up 43. Oil's up $1.06. A bill to prevent the government shutdown includes a raise for Congress. Its first pay raise in 16 years. You know, if we give them a pay cut, maybe they'll go back to their districts and won't spend as much time in Washington. It'll save us a lot of money. I would like that idea. How about you? Unbelievable. And the president, I guess he woke up. He is now talking about the idea that he's all for, now that he's not in the senator, he's all for the idea that Congress people should not be able to make money in the stock market. Does that surprise anybody with Joe right now? Although, surprise. You could probably make all the money you want if your name is Biden, because he'll just give everybody a pardon. It just seems to be the way he's going right now. If he even knows what he's doing. I mean, I think he's given out between clemencies and pardons more than I think it's more than all of the other presidents combined. Think about that one. And, you know, if you get to give somebody a pardon, a blanket pardon for 10 years, you know, that's not that they made a mistake. That's just that they're a career criminal. I just throw that out there because it's the way I believe. I think that we'll see some other pardons coming out before the end of the president's term. Adam Chicken Schiff, I think he'll get a pardon. I think he needs one. He says he doesn't, but I think he needs one. Chicken Schiff. Liz Cheney, apparently she was destroying documents and I don't know these to be true. These are allegations. Destroying documents in the January 6th commission. You know, and she was they call her a Republican. I don't know who calls her a Republican. The Republicans don't want her. The Democrats, well, after the reports say that Kamala Harris lost ground after having Liz Cheney on one of the interviews with her. I'm speaking of Kamala Harris. Did you see her on the news yesterday? I think she must still be drinking. She thinks that they did everything right in their campaign. Her campaign manager, chief of staff, did a report as normal with Harvard. And the transcript says they did everything completely right in the election campaign. Anybody believe that one? Yeah. Although I did hear that Kamala wants to...
I got a bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about this too. She wants to become governor of California. I want to see her do a debate with anybody. And I want to see her find staff. The latest is her campaign staff was all being told they were going to get paid through the holidays, except for one problem. There ain't no money. They had to pay Oprah and Lady Gaga and others, Al Sharpton, paying a news reporter. Sam, I don't know that answer, but if you listen to her, you'd have to believe that maybe there might either, you got to believe possibly. I just don't know. But the bottom line is that we're all very lucky. Whether you like Trump or don't like Trump, can you give me one good reason that you would want Kamala? Other than she's not Trump. I understand those people that are in that boat. But, you know, the whole concept there was that it just wasn't a whole good situation. I would throw that out there, that her policies, and that was one of the commentary that we had with some folks in my family, was don't tell me about the person, because you don't really know either one of them. You know the persona, but we don't know the person. Let's talk about policy. I hear about tariffs all the time, and tariffs are not inflationary no matter what anybody tells you, especially if you're in an open market system. Because if the price isn't good when you add the tariff, you go somewhere else to buy the commodity. It's very, very simple. So if you put 25% tariff on China, well, okay, then you're going to just go and buy the same product in Korea or Taiwan or India or Turkey. Then you're going to find out where the best prices are on the product. Maybe even buy it in the United States. Unbelievable. Norman, I want to read this one because this looks like an interesting commentary. I think Congress got raises under Obama. Well, they say they didn't. I don't know. Officials are paid by the people should not get stock market monies, neither a pension for life. They need to contribute to the Social Security pool. They don't. Why not? They should. You're right. They spend the money. These guys need to go back to work. Agreed. No pension from the government, plus get rid of the limos, phones. You know something? And Norman, the only thing you missed there, I think, in my opinion, is the only thing that you probably missed is term limits. And I would love to see for Congress 12 years, House or Senate, 12 years, more than enough, then go back and get a real job. Just throw that out there. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, Jim Norton, a year-end review, top 2 reasons to look at newly built homes, would we? Biggest perks of buying a home this winter and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
As the economy slows, do you know anyone worried about job loss? At Siegel Lending Team, we offer the Home Select Loan. Think of it as a financial superhero cape for homeowners with good income and credit. It not only saves your home, but also throws a life ring to your credit score. Because who needs stress when you can have peace of mind? Let's secure your future with a smile. Visit rsrhomeselect.com. rsrhomeselect.com. NMLS 217037.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put into your mortgage calculator to find out what your principal and interest payment would be. Don't have a mortgage calculator? Get our mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Conventional 30-year fixed rate loans locked yesterday at 6.745. That was up. Jumbo 30-year fixed rate loans locked 6.987. That was up. FHA 30-year fixed rate loan 6.443. That was up. 30-year, the VA 30-year fixed 6.625. That was up. I'm seeing a pattern here. USDA 30-year fixed 6.509. That was up. Looks like they were all up. If you want our market thoughts every weekday morning, as early as the data allows, rsrlinks.com/market minute, rsrlinks.com/market minute. Now let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. As I shared with you a little earlier, if I was able to get my screen back there, S&P 500 is now up 12.43. We've got the 10-year Treasury is up 2 basis points. The mortgage bond, the 6% coupon, up 1 basis point. Yeah, they're flat. They're not doing anything. They're all just waiting for 11 o'clock California time and then more at 11:30 California time. That's what we're going to hear from the Federal Reserve. What are they planning to do with interest rates? 11 o'clock, and they come out with their statement. 11:30 is the press conference. And probably by about 12:30, we'll see what's going on with the markets. There's almost certainly they're going to cut 25 basis points today. What does that mean for mortgage rates? Well, I explained the whole thing to you. rsrlinks.com/forecast. rsrlinks.com/forecast. Forecast rate, I think, is what we did. RSR links. Josh, would you check which one of those it is? rsrlinks.com/forecast rates. Interest rate is tells, if you want to go to rsrlinks.com/interest rate, that'll tell you how interest rates are derived for your home loan. rsrlinks.com/forecast or forecast rate. Josh will tell us in a minute. That's going to tell you what's going to happen with interest rates, because there is a relationship between the Fed funds rate and the 10-year Treasury. And there's a relationship between the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year mortgage interest rate. So if A plus B equals C, well, A and C have a relationship, right? Is that the way it works? So let's take a look and see. Well, let's continue my quest here. So they're going to raise the rate. They're going to cut the rates by 25 basis points today. Real stories going to be Powell's press conference. And this summary of economic projections, we believe the Fed will signal less rate cuts next year than their dot plot chart, which will probably add some pressure to bonds, as it will show the Fed's more concerned with inflation. The labor market is stronger than previously thought, maybe. Previously, the Fed forecast 100 basis points of cuts on September 18th, but that could be reduced to 75 or even 50 basis points. 50 basis points equals 0.5%. I think we're going to see 25 today, 0.25%, and then 2 cuts next year for a total of 50 basis points, 0.5%. Fed can change their mind quickly. Whatever they show today in their projections, it's likely far off from what will actually happen next year. It would only take one really bad jobs report or shelter inflation to catch up and inflation to move lower for them to change their tune quickly. One wild card to watch out for that could be helpful. The Fed has been reducing their balance sheet, but they may announce today or sometime next year that they're going to stop the runoff. That'll be great. When they do, the Fed will keep their balance sheet net neutral, which means that any assets rolling off their balance sheet will have to be reinvested back into treasuries, which is a good thing for absorbing the supply of treasuries. They may not mention that today, but there is a possibility. We do believe that they will stop the runoff at some point next year. National Association of Home Builders Market Index measures home builder confidence, unchanged at 46. Anything below 50 is contraction. Current sales unchanged at 48, again, contraction. Future expectations rose 3 basis points to 66. Buyer traffic fell 1 point to 31. Current sales almost at a 50 level, which is basically neutral. And I'm going to tell you, housing starts is a big issue. So we get permits, and that's an expense to builders. And Jim Norton will tell us more about that in a minute. But permits don't mean that the builder has to actually start something. Once they start, they've got a vested interest in finishing, and we're not building enough units. That's a good thing that we're not building units if you're into real estate ownership, because we're building, the starts project 1.29 million annualized units. Okay, is that good or bad? Well, the answer to that is we need 1.9 million in order to just be balanced. That's for new household formation and obsolescence. So if we need 1.9 and we get 1.29, which is 1.3, call it, we're short. Supply and demand tells us, okay, if we don't have enough, that means the price of housing is going to go up or at least be stable. So just right there gives you the basic information. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And we bring in the aforementioned Jim Norton of Jim Norton Real Estate. He's one of the most creative people you'll ever meet. He found.
Can you hear me okay?
Can we what?
Can you hear me okay? My AirPods. I'm laughing because you had technical difficulties. My AirPods just died.
Holy cow, man! You got it's early here in the morning if you're listening to us live on the socials. If it's in the afternoon on ABC News and Talk, you got to wonder. It's early in the morning. His phone's dead. His AirPods are dead.
I've got, you don't want to see my desk. I have three sets here. I've tried all three, and all three are dead. Where's it? I need a good old wired microphone.
I think it almost sounds like some sort of operator error. But I digress.
Truly so. Truly so.
So let's talk from a builder's standpoint. Permits to starts to completion. Now you weren't as big as like a DR Horton or something like that, were you?
No, but I was with those companies. So when I started my career, I actually started at Richmond American Homes, which is publicly traded. And then when I finished my career, I was at Equity Residential, which at that time was the largest apartment builder and owner in the United States. And then I went out on my own, and I was just a small fish, but it was mine, and I enjoyed it and had a lot of good time. There's something about building homes that is very, very exciting, and it's very risky. But in the case of what's going on with all this, we still have, just bottom line, simply put, no inventory is not out there. Builders in California, the regulatory process is still the issue to get things done. The time frame is so long that they actually go out looking a lot for people that have already developed lots so that they can buy a track map, which is the map of all the lots, so they can build. And then they don't carry it on their books, because most of these guys, the big guys, are all publicly traded. So it's a rough business, and it's also the kind of business where you have to have the crystal ball. You've got to, you're looking at something today that won't be delivered for at least 18 months at minimum.
Wow.
And so it's quite a tough business from that standpoint. And then, of course, you add to it, these interest rates are not doing well for them. I know that a lot of them are doing buyback or buy downs and everything, or offering, some of them own their own mortgage companies, so they can offer a different program. But it's real hard to build. It's real hard to build in certain areas, especially California. I mean, let's keep it to the neighborhood rather than anything. Southern California is short. I think we're constantly short 4,000 units every year in construction. And I think now we're even shorter than that in demand. And so that's why when I saw something the other day where somebody wrote a very sensible argument, and he said that it is a good time to buy, because if you think it's hard to find something right now, wait till the interest rates go down.
Yeah, that's logical, and we've been forecasting that interest rates are going to drop, and not just the Fed funds rate. We're talking about the interest rates will be dropping on mortgages, and which is more important to us. We talk about the discount rate, and that's an easy one. But when you talk about mortgages, that's what's more important to our world. Although we still talk about the same thing, and most people don't want to hear it, that if you look at the Home Select, it's still the effective rate still under 3% in most instances. Not every instance, but I haven't seen one that's above 3% on the effective APR. So I'm just throwing that out there to people, that if you haven't looked at it, you might really want to take a look and see. And if you want to know what we think about interest rates, rsrlinks.com/rate forecast. I found it, Josh. rsrlinks.com/rate forecast will give you that correlation that goes for everything. It goes from the discount rate to the 10-year Treasury, and how that then affects the 30-year mortgage. And maybe you don't want a 30-year mortgage. Maybe that's the most expensive mortgage out there. Well, so we'll talk about all that and more. We're going to come back and chat with Jim Norton more about custom-built homes. Maybe we'll talk about that and more, and the year-end conclusion, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Top 2 reasons to look at newly built homes when planning a move. A newly built home might be the first thing that comes to mind. But with more brand new homes on the market and builders focusing on smaller, more affordable options, this type of home may just be the key to crossing the home buying finish line. Here's why a new build is worth considering and how an agent can help you find one that meets your needs and your budget. Number 1, more newly built homes are available right now. Okay. Let's break down the types of homes on the market. A newly built home is a home that was just built or is under construction. On the other hand, an existing home is one a homeowner has already lived in. Right now, the number of existing homes for sale is still low. And if you're struggling to find something like you like because there aren't many existing homes for sale, opening up your search to include brand new homes could really expand your options. That's because there are more newly built homes available right now than in a typical year. And if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of the socials of ABC News and Talk, AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feeds, you are seeing a chart. There are more newly built homes for sale today. Look at that chart. That shows a lot of them. From 1983 to 2019, newly built homes made up only 13% of the total inventory of homes for sale. Today, that number has climbed to 28.8%, according to the most recent data. And as Lawrence Yoon, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, NAR, notes, quote, even though existing home sales have been stuck at low levels, newly constructed home sales look to mark one of the best annual performance in 15 years. The new home inventory has been consistently rising, with home builders getting active and making up around a third of the total inventory, unquote. While the uptick in new home construction is encouraging, rest assured that builders aren't overdoing it. They're just making up for over a decade of underbuilding. There are still way more buyers than there are homes on the market. But the good news for you is this increase in newly built homes means more options for your search. Number 2, newly built homes are becoming less expensive. Still skeptical of a new build is right for you or if they're in your budget? The average cost of a newly built homes has actually come down from a year ago. Why? Builders know affordability is top of mind for home buyers right now, so they're focusing their efforts on building smaller homes they can offer at lower price points and are more likely to sell. Realtor.com says, quote, builders are increasingly building smaller, more affordable homes to bring smaller, more affordable homes to the market, so buyers may find more newly built homes that fit their budget, unquote. Something to keep in mind, buying a newly built home isn't the same as buying an existing one. Builder contracts have different fine print. So be sure to partner with a local real estate agent who knows the market, builder reputations, and what to look for in those contracts. Bottom line, depending upon your needs and budget, a new build might be the opportunity you've been wanting to bring your home buying vision to life. If you're interested in a brand new home, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, and let's chat about it. Why do I say that? Don't go look at that new build on your own. And I tell you this all the time. I do know that there is that company that was involved in a major National Association of Realtors lawsuit, and they're saying, oh, people aren't going to need realtors. Hogwash. You don't need a realtor to find the house. You need the realtor from the contract to close. And I've been going through that with somebody and counseling them lately. And no, I am not a realtor. I have a real estate license. Doesn't give me any qualifications to sell a home. You got to talk to a professional about that. But there are issues there that need to be addressed. If you go into a new build, I don't know. We're going to ask Jim Norton this in just one second. So I always say, if you go into a new build, bring your realtor with you, or if you sign in, use a fake name. Then bring your realtor back with you, right? Because you want that real estate guidance. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Let's chat more with our builder friend, Jim Norton. He does all kinds of real estate, but in his prior existence, he was
life.
in the what's that?
My prior life.
Prior life, he was a builder, both big time and more independent. So he knows all these. So Jim, give me the progression. I mean, when you're doing it as an independent, you know that if you get a permit, you're going to finish. I would assume, because
Correct.
It's your money.
Right.
When you're into the big projects that the big guys do, what's the catalyst for somebody getting a permit but not starting or finishing that project?
The catalyst for getting a permit is they're banking on they're banking it on the future. So they have a 100-lot subdivision. They try to get as many permits as they can, just in case there is some regulatory issue that's going to pop up. Again, we're talking about not in my backyard type of things that stop developments and everything. Take a city like Carlsbad. I think they pretty much just about sue every builder that tries to pull a permit so that they can try to stop the growth, that kind of thing. So that's why they're looking to pull the permit, as many permits as they can. Because once you have a permit in hand, you're clear to build. But it also has time constraints. You can't just have a permit for 5 years.
So you're clear to build, but you also the time constraints. I didn't know. I'm not a builder, but the thing that I do know is that once you get that permit, well, economics can change, right? Interest rates can go up. Home sales can slow down. We saw that at various times, and and then you get the community that gets involved. Anaheim Hills has been a big issue of any kind of, they want to put high density housing in Anaheim Hills, and the community just gets outraged every single time, exactly as you just said.
Yeah, it isn't a guarantee to anything. I mean, I was giggling because I was under construction with a project in 2005 when it came to a screeching halt overnight. That's when AIG went down, and too big to fail was the motto of the time. And the housing industry came to a screeching halt. You remember it. You were in mortgages.
Sure.
And so yeah, they have to be very careful. They have to be they're well aware of that environment going in as well. Right now, though, the biggest thing is the buyer and the interest rates. As I always said, if we could get interest rates back down to 5.5, we would start to see the market really, a lot of buyers come back into the market. But as I said earlier, if we get down to 5.5 and add a bunch of buyers, we don't have the inventory for all the extra buyers. Now it's really, really going to become a seller's market, which is not good. If you ask me, that's not good for the market when sellers have that much control. You want the buyers to be able to go look at something, put a reasonable bid. You don't want to keep reading that everything was sold for 25% over asking. I'm sure the seller loves that, but for a market, that's a little too one-sided. And markets don't work well when they're that way. They always work better when they're even.
So what do you say about the concept, though, about the people that put the properties up for sale, at 10, 15, 20% below market as a strategy?
That's a strategy to get people in there. It doesn't necessarily mean that's going to work completely. I prefer that. I think it's better to be at market or a little low rather than above market, because it's always easier to work with people going up. But you also have to remember, let's say you have something at 500,000. I'm just making up a number. 500,000. You put it at 450, and you start attracting people, and you sort of get a little bit of a bidding war going. But it goes up to 520. That's $70,000 stretch. Is that buyer going to make that $70,000? So you got to be careful on what your balance is. You got to be careful on how far you reach and how far your buyers can reach. They might not qualify for that extra 70,000. That's quite a bit more in a payment, and quite a bit more in a down payment too.
Yeah, and the one thing that we obviously want to talk about in that aspect is, and we've got a plan. We got a plan for that. The appraisal. Will the appraisal come in?
Well, right. Well, it'll appraise. I mean, but this is again, if you're dealing with your real estate agent, they should be aware of that. They shouldn't be just relying on a Zillow Z estimate or something. They should understand the process of an appraisal, and they can do a modified version. It's not an official appraisal, but they can they can use the same formulas to kind of see how they're balancing out.
And obviously, if you're dealing with an appraisal issue on the loan, go to rsrlinks.com/appraisal gap, rsrlinks.com/appraisal gap, and we actually show you a strategy to deal with a appraisal shortage, just in case your appraisal doesn't come through. The appraisal gap project could be really important for you as a solution.
Well, I will tell you, I think you're a lone voice out there, and you're the voice of the future. I think the idea that people are still stuck in an 80-20 loan, which is 20% down, 80% financed, or 25-75, whatever the standard, as you said, standard 30-year fixed. I think they need to start looking at the whole picture. I think with the higher rates, I don't see rates going down the way they did before. That's not going to be able to happen for probably at least 10 years, with the way the economy is and the time it takes for things to change. Your methodology, or that you're stating, is to look at your combined payment, your combined interest rate. I think there's there's tremendous merit in that as you go into the housing market, and then that way you can find out, because the average house in Orange County, the median price, now we know that's the median, is like 1.7 million. And the average sales is like 1.3. So that's a lot of money. It's a lot of payment. And I think unless you start looking at your overall household, you gotta start thinking out of the box. And if you're dealing with some mortgage lender and a realtor that are following just traditional guidelines, that's not good for you. There's a lot more options out there and a lot of other ways to look at it. I think we've had this conversation a lot before, that financing is the key to the strategy. Finding the house is not as hard as financing.
Yeah, financing is, and you spend more money on financing. We're going to continue our conversation with Jim Norton when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. The biggest perks of buying a home this winter, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. Real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Biggest perks of buying a home this winter. Waiting for perfect conditions often means missing out, because what you may not realize is if you're ready and able to buy this time of year, could actually give you an edge. Here's why. As the weather cools down, and it's going to be 80 here today in Southern California, as the weather cools down, the housing market can too, and that works in your favor. You likely won't feel as rushed. Homes tend to take a little longer to sell during this time of year. Data from the National Association of Realtors shows the average time a house sits on the market jumps up during the winter months. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv or any of our socials, ABC News and Talk, AM 1490, FM 98.1, the video feeds, you may not feel as rushed to buy this winter as the chart you're seeing. This is partly because fewer buyers are active at this time of year, and that decrease in buyer competition means the houses that are on the market aren't going to be snatched up as quickly. So if you decide to buy a home in the next couple of months, you'll likely have more time to consider your options and negotiate a deal without feeling as pressured. Sellers may be more willing to negotiate, and since homes generally take longer to sell during the winter, sellers are often more motivated to close a deal. That can work in your favor too. According to NAR, quote, less competition can lead to better deals. While homes are not selling as fast as during the summer, sellers may be more willing to negotiate, unquote. Whether it's compromising on price, covering closing costs or repairs, or extras like appliances, you have more room to ask for what you need. Homes are less expensive in the winter with less competition from other buyers and sellers who are more willing to negotiate. You may see slightly lower prices too. In fact, according to the National Association of Realtors, homes are typically about 5% less expensive now compared to when prices normally peak in the summer. This might not seem like a huge difference, but on a $400,000 home, it can mean saving $20,000 on the purchase price. You can see this expected seasonal shift in home prices taking place this year. Take a look at the graph that shows median sales price of existing homes that were previously owned or over the past 12 months. You'll notice in the green bars that prices were lower in the winter months last year, and it seems like it's going to happen again this year. That gives you the chance to make your budget go further. Bottom line, buying a home during the winter means less competition, motivated sellers, and potentially lower prices, maybe even some payment reduction assistance. All that, and that's good information for you. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation. Jim Norton is with us, talking real estate, talking year-end. We're just talking. Lots of fun stuff.
Sometimes we talk too much.
Especially when Josh has to do editing.
Yeah. But those statistics on winter are correct. I mean, it's a great time to buy, especially if you're looking at new homes. Builders are looking to take stuff off their books in the last quarter because they want to be able to gear up for more starts in the next year. So buying a new home from a builder is a good time to do right in the last month of December.
And they like to get get rid of that interest expense, get the profits booked so that their numbers look good for their shareholders.
And the banks, we're ready to. We need more. We need more money, so we're you ready to lend, and the whole kit and caboodle.
So what do you?
The problem is everybody's tied up with Christmas and holidays and.
What are you looking at for next year, Jim? What's your crystal ball showing?
Right now, and we can talk about that a little more next month, but we're going to have interest rates coming down a bit. I think the jury's still out on where that's going to go. I would like to see them come down under 6. I don't know if they're going to get there. They might get there in 2 years or so, but I don't think they're going to collapse. I think we're going to be in this six range for quite a while. It's kind of the new. Remember when we were at 8%? We used to always wish we could go to 7%, and then we went to 3%. We never thought that would happen in our lifetime. So I think 6 is kind of the new norm a little bit for now. It will fluctuate and go down, but as everything goes up fast, they come down slow, and so that's one thing. In regulatory, I don't think we're going to see them understanding how to build more houses in California. I think they're still stuck in the same mud of thinking that the way they do. I don't even know what it is. But, the old days, there used to be a hierarchy to home ownership too. You could buy a condo for a couple of $100,000. You could buy a townhome for a little more. You could buy your first entry-level house, and then you could buy your forever home. And then you sold it and went back down to a downsize. That, what I just listed off, five sections of housing, 5 types of housing, doesn't exist much anymore. It's kind of like, one type of housing, and that's it. And that's single family detached. And there's other ways to build stuff and other ways to be affordable.
Yeah, you look at some of these different numbers, and one of the things that I found very, very fascinating was last Thursday. I spent a good part of the afternoon listening to the Chapman University economic forecast, and we continue to listen to our government, our state government people talking about needing affordable housing. And I never knew how they determined affordable housing, but it's done as a percentage of the median home price.
Right.
And so you look in someplace like Newport Beach, where median home price might be like $2 million or something.
Right.
So they say, okay, what if we do 80% of that? That's $1.6 million. And I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know the exact number there, but say that's $1.6 million. Is that affordable? And not for the average person.
Yeah.
Right. So it's this affordable housing concept is not going to really do a whole heck of a lot, I don't think, for anybody.
No. And yeah, the way again, as I said, the way they've looked at it historically is just is no longer applicable that way, because you're right. I mean, what did I just say? I think the average median price in Orange County is 1.7. So
I've got it on my screen right now. According to Black Knight, it's 1.294.
Okay, let's use back. It doesn't really matter, but 1.294, 80% of that still is 800,000. I mean, so are you talking affordable housing being 400,000, 500, 600? It's relative to the median price. The way they're using that.
$1.60 million is what
now.
I think $1.60 million.
Yeah.
I think 80% of that's like $1.60 million. So it's still over $1 million. Now, I don't know about you, Jim, but my first home was not $1 million home.
No, I mean, when I bought we just talked about that. I was talking about that with the kids, and they were amazed, that we could buy something, but it was relative. We did not make the same amount of money either.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember part of the conversation started because I said I had my first job out of college at $5 an hour. And they're like, $5 an hour? How did you live? And I said, well, things weren't as expensive. I mean, that's the power of inflation and what it's done to everything. But it's there has to be a way to get there. It's just a matter of I don't know. It's like we need to listen to Ron Siegel radio a little bit more as a politician in California, so you can understand how the market works. And once you understand how the market works, you can then gear up programs to make that market happen. But right now,
well, ironically enough, Jim, one of the things you said is something that we're pushing a lot with our private clients and the people that come to us, is the concept of that interest rate. Your affordability is a lot better if you can get that interest rate down. And one of my favorites, if you listen to Ron Siegel radio for any length of time, you've heard me mention strategy beats rate always.
Right.
Offer a little more money on the property and ask the seller to help with that buying down the interest rate. You'll be able to afford the property a lot better. Not a short-term buy down, a full 30-year buy down. Strategy beats rate always. And I think we're gonna have a good year next year. I think there's gonna be a lot of benefits and opportunity for people. We've got a lot of the uncertainty out of the market now with the election over, whether you like the outcome or not. That uncertainty is gone. So come back and check us out. We will be here, as we say every day. Set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 at ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, so you help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
My boss just pushed me over the limit. I'd like to call him